It's not about the credit. It's about the impact. Sometimes you do have to give back. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do have to think about, you know, what you're going to leave, what legacy you're going to leave in this world, right? And it's what we do. It's like, and the greatest stuff that's ever been done in the world has been like, you know, selfless stuff.
Welcome to The Tiger in the Room. My name is Hannah, and I'll be your host. We are a podcast series that is here to talk about the current and ongoing national crisis of anti-Asian hate crimes. A lot of us first heard about anti-Asian hate in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. We believe that hate against Asians and Asian Americans is not just seen in acts of violence. It is also seen when our community is silenced, invisibilized, and erased. We plan to talk about the challenges that modern-day Asian Americans face every day, whether it's in the workplace, in public, in media, and so on. We also talk to the organizers, activists, and change makers who are fighting for our community and fighting for change. We hope you'll join us. Our guest today is China Mac. For those of you who don't know him, China Mac is a rapper and activist. He's a New York City native who was born in Brooklyn and raised in Chinatown. On August 1st, 2020, he and actor Will X. Ham organized a march in Bensonhurst to raise awareness about anti-Asian hate crimes after an 89-year-old Chinese grandmother was assaulted and set on fire in Brooklyn in July. The march was called They Can't Burn Us All and was one of the first of its kind in recent years for the Asian American community. It later sparked additional rallies in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. He has now launched a nonprofit organization with the same name, which calls itself a grassroots organization fighting to unite and protect the people. He also hosts a popular YouTube food show called Mac Eats, where he visits different neighborhoods and cities and tries the local food while speaking to the locals there. We talked to Mac about his views on what is happening with the state of anti-Asian hate, particularly in New York City, and what can be done to stop it.
Why they hate you run deep in America? Why they want to kill me in America?
This interview with China Mac was recorded on July 14th, 2022. They Can't Burn Us All. They do a lot of really important work in the local community here in New York. So we're very honored to have you here today, Mac. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to ask you, compared to where you were 2 years ago, how have things changed when you look at how you started back then and how things are progressing now with all the attention on anti-Asian hate?
It's definitely more now than it was before, to my knowledge. Like from when we first started, it was like just like starting, like you see random things happening, but then now it's like just more and more, and it's consistent.
So I remember when I went to that rally 2 years ago at Washington Square Park, and I remember you saying that Asians really need to learn to fight back, and that you were actually upset like more people were not at that rally. You were saying like that park should have been filled up. And it was the first time for me, like I ever heard anyone from the Asian community just be that unapologetic about calling us out. Did you get that kind of feedback from a lot of people when you were first starting out with those rallies?
Yeah, like I feel like that initial message, I needed to wake people up, like just like with an air of emergency, with the air of with that tone.
Everybody here, I want to encourage all the brothers and sisters watching us all over the world. We need you guys to fight. The days of us allowing people to push us over should be over. The days of us allowing our women to be attacked, our grandmothers to be attacked, allowing our children to be bullied and telling them, hey, just no problems, no, those days should be over. We tell our kids,
So that was the tone that I was pitching. And, since then, I don't feel like I still do whatever I see like needs my attention, or I help whatever I can. My contribution with speaking up first and using my platform as like a matchstick, to just get everybody's attention and get everybody just starting to care and figure out, so I'm glad that I'm happy. I'm honored to be able to be one of the first voices to like, get people, just get people awake about what's going on and what we need to do.
So, after that happened, there were a couple rallies in LA and San Francisco. And then as we know, 2021 happened where Stop Asian Hate became a more mainstream movement. Yeah. Personally, for me, what I felt that the media didn't really talk a lot about what you and Will had done, though, the year before, which I guess, maybe not a lot of people knew about They Can't Burn Us All back then, but it didn't seem like people were spreading, content about it or telling other people. Just, curious, like, did that, does that sit a certain way with you that kind of didn't really get acknowledged at all?
It doesn't bother me much. I do take note of it, but that's like been happening to me for my whole life, it was my actions that, inspired a lot of people to do what they did. So that is that's really as much as I need, like that's something like, wow, somebody like me that was always told I would never be nothing. Somebody like me that was in special education, somebody that like me that was always, getting in trouble. And I was able to do something that actually changes, like, right currently and also the future. Like what I feel like what we did was like, like some badass stuff, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that I don't need anybody to know that I did it. The history will speak for itself. And I just do what I do and let the cards play out how they play out. I don't really worry about the notoriety or the credit, because that's not what I do it for. It's cool, it's nice to have, you know what I'm saying? But if I don't have it, it's not that big of a deal. But it does suck sometimes, because it's like, okay, well, why are you guys not, why are you not giving my like voice, like, why are you not noticing it? I know you hear it and I know you've been affected by it, but why are you not like saying it, And it's just something that's been happening throughout my life, because I am Asian, but, I'm a little different, like my upbringing was different. My style is different. How I communicate is different. So for a lot of people, it might be a little like, oh, that's a little too much, but, and that's understandable. But I think at this time right now, we need to be doing different things than we're like accustomed to, like my parents never taught me to speak for myself.
What do you think it will take to get Asians to speak out? Because I think like a lot of Asian Americans, especially in like our age group, they're just like too comfortable, or they're just too scared. Like there's a real sense of fear for them about speaking up, because they think that they're going to lose their jobs. They think they're going to be looked down upon. And it's so deep seated that it's really going to take a real shock factor or some kind of mindset shift for them to get out of it. Right. Like, do you have thoughts on like what it would take to really get them to like shake out of it?
So that is the problem here. The problem is that, the difference in, how we were taught. When I grew up, my parents never taught me to fight up, like to speak up for myself. My mom always, like I always had that in me, but my mom used to yell at me, used to be really mad at me if I ever spoke up. Like sometimes I would speak up for my classmates and my mom would like yell at me and say, mind your business. But then when I go to like my Black friend's house, their parents would be like, oh no, what he said, what you say, right? And what you say, did you say something? What did you do? Right. And then it was just totally different. Like, it was just like a different. And I think now that our time is like, it's that it's changing. Like our landscape in this country is changing. So, that you got to be tough here now, like it's just changed overnight, Right. And now you can't, that passive, that, oh, so soft, like we're going to get like stepped over, like we have to voice, we have to be able to like, demand our respect. And I'm not talking about through anybody's race or anybody, but just having that type of confidence and that type of pride in ourselves and our community that we're going to let our voices be heard, and we're not going to just stand by and let things happen. So when I speak to Asian people and they're just like so passive about it, it just really gets me so like, it bothers. Like, I'm just like, what are you talking about? It just doesn't register to me. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's just like really frustrating, really like, cause I'm passionate about it. I really care about what happens to, people, period, especially people that look like my mother and my sister and, my people.
Do you feel like you're accepted by the Asian community?
It depends which Asian community you're talking about, right? Like, here in New York, like the Asian community here, no, I don't really feel accepted by this community because it's more like, Eastern Asian, Chinese, Korean. The classes are a little different than, what I speak up for. When I go to like California, the Asians over there are a little different. It just really depends what Asian people we're talking about.
So you're saying you don't even feel accepted by like East Asians here in New York, which is like where you grew up?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on like why that is?
I guess it's just because of, my culture, like, how I am, like, because I've been exposed to a lot of street stuff and I've been exposed to other communities and the juvenile justice system and the system. So my views are a lot different than, somebody that, grew up in Bayside, Queens.
I mean, I'm from Flushing, actually, born and raised. And so for me, I kind of get like what it's like to grow up in that Asian bubble. And then you kind of break out of it later and come to a realization the world is not like New York outside of it, at least. But what really surprises me is like, in terms of, when everything was happening last year, it was very polarized within our community as to like who people thought were legitimate spokespeople for us. Like there were people who I felt really followed these like, organizers and influencers who were kind of saying the right thing politically, if you know what I mean. And then there were other people who I think are a little bit more upfront about, you have like pages like AWA, you have like Streets 415, like they're very to the point about it. It's like very divided within the community is what I'm trying to say as to like who people think are like the legitimate activists or spokespeople. Like, do you find like you see that as well?
Yeah, I definitely see that. It's just really vast in like how, we are, right? Because you have Asians that are really well off, but then you have a lot of Asians that are not at all, but then a lot of people won't even know that, right? So it's really, and then how economically how we are and educational, right? How we are, that's really vast too. Like, so it's kind of hard to get on the same page, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has their thing that they're fighting for or that they want and that they don't agree with. So it's really going to take something like you said, like something, it's going to take something major to get everybody on the same page, and I don't know, hopefully that doesn't happen because whatever it's going to take for us to get on the same page is going to be really crucial.
Yeah.
Right? But it's going to be bad, right? Because,
yeah.
If we get on the same page, that means it's pretty bad, right? So hopefully we don't have, it doesn't get like that because it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a complete struggle. But I just feel like, Asian people, we need to, number one, just not with Asian people, but just with everybody. We need to understand, like, hey, what are we doing that's wrong, right? What are we doing that isn't right, or that is, hindering us or empowering others to take advantage of us, right? Mm-hmm. We got to look at what we're responsible for. And because that's the first thing we can do, right, is what we're responsible for. So whatever we're responsible for, like what what is our responsibility in what's happening within our community? Once we see that, then we can go with a plan of action, like something that we can actually do, right? And I think that, until all of us, not all of us, but more of us start saying, okay, hey, what can I do, right? I don't know about everybody else, but what can I do? And what can I inspire the people around me do? And I think the more of us that actually do that, the more change we're going to see. And that's the only time we're going to see change, right? Is when the people individually say, hey, what can I do? Like, what can I contribute to my community? What can we do? And if we have everybody, like more and more people doing that, then we're going to see change, because we're going to start being on the same page, whether we like it or not.
What is one thing that you think the community does need to be responsible for that we're not doing right now, like as a whole? Is it just like being more self-aware that we're not engaging, like we're not, like you said, like we're not raising our hand and being like, how can I help? How can I get involved?
Well, here's the thing, right? I think there's a big miscommunication right now, right? Because I'm on both sides. I'm with Black people all the time, and I know Asian people. I'm with Asian people. Like, so there's a big, there's a big miscommunication, right? Because they're thinking one thing, and we're on this side thinking a whole nother thing, right? So we're really they're not thinking what we think they're thinking, and we're not thinking how they think we're thinking, right? Like that. So, but we're not doing our job to address it. You know what I mean? Like, we're quiet. We don't want to talk to the people. We don't want to we're scared out of our souls to speak to somebody about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just people, even that's around me, all the Asian people, they don't want to talk. Like, if it's in front of a Black person or anybody else, they just freeze up and they just don't want to talk, right? And it's just like, well, until we figure that out, you know what I mean? Then we're not going to get past that, because there's this communication, right? So I feel like more of us need to start reaching out and like speaking, and talking to them, and like not just them, but everybody, like talking to people within our community, being a part of the community, saying that, hey, you guys are this color or whatever, but we're all in this together. So how can I help? Right. And like making people feel like we're also a part of the community, you know what I'm saying? But because we don't do that, but because we are so like this and just so like, and we don't want to talk to anybody. Okay. So now when things start happening, people aren't going to step up for us, because they feel like they're looking at that like, oh, you guys think you're better than us, right? Oh, you guys think that you guys just don't whatever. So now when things are happening, people are just like, well, they think they're better than us anyway. But in all actuality, it's not that people think that they're better than anyone. It's just the communication is different, right? The culture is different. It's just there's not enough understanding for people to understand that. There's not enough communication for people to understand that. So I feel like one of the major things that we can start doing is because on our side, it's like, oh my God, it's like a big threat. Like, oh, just like, it's just crazy chaos to Asian people. Like, being an Asian person in New York is so dangerous. That's what it seems like on the internet. But, I feel like the occurrences that are happening to the elderly and women aren't just Asian people, right? Like, I mean, it is happening to Asian people, but these things are happening to like everybody. Like, women are getting attacked on the train, raped, and it doesn't matter if they're Asian or not. Like, if they're alone and there's some sick guy over there, they're going to try him, right? These things are happening. Crime is up in our city because our government is having an issue with dealing with it, right? So because of that, you're seeing this spike in crime, period, right? Yeah. But because we're Asian and we're just seeing this, we would think, oh, all of this is just like against Asians. But no, crime in the city is up, period, right? So yes, you're going to see Asians getting robbed and attacked, but so is the Mexican lady in Jackson Heights that has a corn stand. Some young kids just robbed her and just like, beat her up, right? So is the Russian lady over here. Like, people are just acting dumb and doing stuff to everybody. It's not just Asian people. And I do know that I'm not trying to say that, whatever, downplay the situation, but we have to understand that our city is like going through some changes right now.
So when you say that so for you, when you see an Asian person getting attacked, right, in New York, for example, for you, is it that you wouldn't jump to a conclusion that it's a hate crime right away? You would, unless it was obvious that like the person said like a racial slur. You're saying like this is just part of a bigger pattern of like increased crime in the city.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And of course, you have like, situations where somebody might be robbing them and they're actually robbing everybody. The same person just robbed the Spanish lady, just robbed the Black lady. And then now he sees an Asian lady and he sees a bag and she's not protecting her bag properly. So he grabs the bag. And then he's struggling with her. Give it to me, you Chinese bitch. Boom. Right. That's not racist. Like, he did say something racist, but he's not doing this as a racist, like, thing. He's just robbing people.
So I want to actually touch on something you mentioned earlier where, with this tension between the Black and the Asian community about these hate crimes. And in terms of like when we talk about that, right, one opinion that I feel tends to always be used as the reason for why, we see a lot of hate crimes happening against Asians is because of white supremacy. People use that as a reason for why like communities of color, are hating on each other, basically. And I know that, I know from conversations I've had with Asians that they feel this is kind of not that it's a cop-out excuse, but it's kind of a reason that's being given to demand like Asians ally with everybody else, but no one's really focusing on like the root cause here. Like, I'm just curious, like what you think about that.
With the white supremacy thing, I think it is a real thing, right? But I'm not going to blame some sick person that just like beats an Asian lady up for no reason. That is not white supremacy. But there are remnants of what's going on that the government is doing and what our government has done that is trickling down to this. So I'm not saying that particular incident, it's white supremacy. No, but it is a sickness of that, right? It is a product of it, but I'm not going to say that, it's that's what it is. Like, it's just because it's white supremacy. No, it's because this person has sicknesses that, whatever this person has going on, they already showed like examples of these behaviors. These things just don't happen overnight, right?
Right.
So like this person already probably has a couple of attacks like this already, and then now they are the way our country, our system is he just gets released over and over and over until he kills somebody.
I know you're saying that you think a lot of these crimes are part of like a larger pattern of, crime that's just increased in the city. But do you feel like Asians do get gaslit a lot when we do say, hey, we think this guy was being racist? Like we think that he attacked this woman because he was racist. Or like, do you feel like there is this tendency, at least what I've seen, is that the police are very hesitant to call anything a hate crime. And I just feel like there was a report about this a couple months ago where, CNN, I think, released it, where there were 233 assaults that were recorded, but only 7 were prosecuted as hate crimes against Asians. So I don't. Do you feel like there's this tendency, like we're just not taken seriously when we say that it is race related? Or do you think that
we're not taken seriously because it doesn't seem like we're taking it serious? Black Lives Matter is a fairly new thing, but they weren't taken serious for a very long time. Like what did they have to do to be taken serious? I mean, like, so, I'm not saying that we got some work to do, In this country, you have to fight for your rights. You have to fight for it, right? So, I just don't think we're doing enough fighting for it, Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure that if all of us was to raise some real big noise and like some real, like, we're really serious about this, it would make hella change, right? But because we're not, because we're just kind of like, we're in this bubble. We're still in this bubble and we're kind of safe in the bubble for now a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So we're kind of just clinging onto it until, the bubble maybe fully bursts.
What's your view on policing? Like, what do you do? Because there are Asians who who would like to see more police because of these hate crimes. And that's been also another reason why I think there's been a lot of tension between the Black and the Asian community about this subject. Because each community is seeing policing in a very different way. I'm just curious if you feel comfortable sharing, because I know it could be a kind of touchy topic, but I'm just curious like what your thoughts are on that.
It's just like really different, right? In one community, police are, looked at as, that they misuse their power. And in another community, they're looked at as like, people that, bring peace, so it's totally like different, polarizing, right? But for me, I just feel like, we're in America, police is necessary. Like if police isn't here, then I don't know. We have to find a better solution to that if we're going to say that's a problem. But for the most part, how our country is right now, police is necessary, right? Yeah. We're seeing police pullback is like, is increasing the crime all across the country. So it's whatever the people of the community feel like is better for the community.
And what would you say you think like Asian leaders should be doing as like the correct response to all these hate crimes?
We need to be reaching out to our youth, right? We need to do programs. We need to be allocating funds to like, really pushing the message. And we have to get our kids a little, we have to give them a little awakening, right? Like, okay, things are not, we're in this country, we're in America already, right? So, we're going to have to, times are changing and we're going to have to change our, just our traditional pass down to our children stuff, right? We're going to have these tough conversations. We're going to have to get our kids a little tougher, like in terms of how to deal with things, speaking up for themselves, just like, teaching them little by little what we weren't taught. Right. So we need to start doing that. And I urge everybody that's watching this, I'm not trying to tell you guys to like make your kids a gangster or anything, but, we have to start having these hard conversations with them, how to address a bully, and sometimes like a teacher won't be there to save them. What do they do? Right. What do they do? You have to have these conversations with them. And you yourself, before you have these conversations with them, you yourself have to realistically look at where our country is going and how we're going to have to speak to our children, right? Where we can't, like, the more we keep them in the bubble and just like, oh, everything's going to be good. But as soon as you leave and you're not able to hold that coat over their head, they're stuck, right? They're going to be lost in this world. So you're going to have these conversations with them, like, like early.
I did want to also address something else that I heard you talk about on social media. So I think it was back in over the summer, there was a video of an Asian woman that got punched in Chinatown on 69 Bayard.
Yeah.
And it happened like right in front of these two Asian men who just didn't really like do anything about it.
It was like several Asian men. It wasn't just two. It was like 7 or 8 of them that were just
And then I saw a video of you at an AWA rally in San Francisco where you kind of called those men out for not standing up for the women. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on that. Like, do you feel like there's also this thing where our men also do need to step up? And I'm not saying it's on men to protect the women or anything like that, but personally, I've never heard anyone call that out. And I think that's an interesting like point, because I do feel that, masculinity in Asian men, it's kind of a thing in this country, right? Where, Asian men also feel that they're not like empowered to be manly. But then when you have incidents like this and you don't see the men stepping up, like you can't help but think something's not right here. So I kind of wanted to just ask you about that.
I just watched that video and I was like so appalled. I was just like, what the hell? Right. I just can't understand it for the life of me. I have a lot of people that I work with and, it's just really, and they kind of think like that, like, that whole Asian way of thinking. And it's just really frustrating for me to like communicate with and try to like understand. because it's just like, damn, like you have a whole grown ass man right now, just knocked this lady out right in front of you. It really bothers me, because if I was there, I wouldn't have allowed that to happen. And I hope that, other people would jump in with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we like, and it's just, I don't know how to like get that through to our people. Like, I'm trying, like, I swear I'm trying my best, and it's just not working. And I just don't feel like I'm the person to do it. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm the person to inspire that in somebody else that may be able to do it better than I can.
So is that kind of what motivated you to start TCBUA? Because it started off as like being this grassroots, thing where you guys were organizing a lot of rallies, but now you're an actual organization now. So can you just tell us like what motivated you to start it, and what kind of work you guys are doing now?
I just see the work that needs to be done in the community. So we decided to turn it into an organization with the help of Ruby and with the help of Fulton and Amy and our team, Tina. And, our group, we're a very small group, and I ain't gonna lie, it's not easy. Like, it's really not easy. It's not easy at all, because, one time from one end, I see like so much responsibility there, right? That our future needs us, right, to do. And then it's just not being done, and people just ignoring it, and like just scared, and just like, and it just bothers me, because I'm like, yo, we have to like, we have to get this going. We have to wake up, and we have to stand up, and we can't just be like sheep, or and it's just, it's hard to get through. Right. And I just hope that, so after seeing this, it's just like, we're doing what we can, right? We're doing subway support, helping the women up and down the stairs with their bags, giving them pamphlets, letting them know that, there are people there that cares, and also what to do on the train to remain safe and all of that. We're also, we have Brave that's going on, but, a lot of our classes and stuff has been, we've been toning down a lot, because we just don't have the manpower. Like, we don't have the volunteers. We don't have the help, and I can't be the one. I try my best to like give as much as I can at a time, and okay, I'll just go and run it up. I'm not an organizer. I'm not a activist. I don't know about this stuff. I just see that, okay, there's something I can contribute. Let me contribute. Let me spark some, and then other people can come and we can build off of it. And let me just do my job. I'll just spark it. Let me just, but it's not enough people following up. And because, people are not following up, it's hard to like keep on doing these classes for our youth, our kids, keep on doing these subway supports, and it's just hard. But, we're trying to find a way to like, power through it, and just, do our best.
I know that you guys had started a petition to get Citizen app to also download different languages. Just wanted to know how that was going, because I know that was like a really big campaign you guys were pushing.
They haven't responded. I'm trying to push, but there's only so much I can push, and I have my own things to push. Like, I have my own things to do. I can't be I just can't keep on doing, because it's not. Yeah. I have my own thing, my own career, my own situation, but. This campaign, like with They Can't Burn Us All TCBUA, I actually stopped doing so much of my stuff just so I can just donate it. I donated so much time, energy, effort to, the Asian communities. Like, I really did, and and because of that, I haven't had time to like focus on my own stuff, but it was cool because I was doing something that I felt like, damn, there's little kids looking at me right now. That's like, oh, wow, that's something that I could do too. Or like 10 years later, they'll think back like, oh, I remember when my dad took me to this rally, and this guy was screaming like, you have to stand up for yourself. And maybe that one thing makes a kid just want to protect the elder or protect their,
Yeah.
all of this is like money in the bank for me. I'm just doing what we can.
Well, I want you to know there are those of us who, even though I hope you hear this, but there are those of us in the community who do see what you're doing, and we do appreciate it. I hope, you hear that from other people in the community. I don't think we're good at really uplifting each other, but there are those of us who do see it. So I just want you to know that, even though I understand how exhausting it could be to not get that kind of support from your own community. So, just kind of one of the last questions I have for you, when you look back at the last 2 years, do you feel like you're proud of what you've accomplished in terms of, where you started with this movement, you can say, and where you are now?
Yeah, I'm absolutely proud of what I've done. It's something that when I pass away, I could look back at it and like, damn, I messed up, I messed up a lot, but, I did some like real ill stuff too. Like, you know what I mean? I did some great stuff. So, it's not even about getting the credit. Like, again, it's not about the credit. It's about the impact. You know what I'm saying? The credit will come, whether it comes or not. Like, it doesn't matter. Right? It's not because we're doing it to be praised for it. I mean, if we get the praisal comes, that's fine, right? Thank you so much. But that's not what made me want to do it, right? What made me want to do it is because I feel like, oh, nobody is doing it, like, and I have opportunity to spark some to light some torches, and I want to do that. All of these events and stuff, everybody that's been helping, like, I'm super proud of what we do because it's a thankless job, right? But we care so much that we still do it.
One last question, like, what gives you hope? What motivates you to keep fighting for the community? Like you said, it feels thankless at times, but you're still doing it. So like, what makes you still keep pushing forward?
Other people. Like, sometimes I get burnt out and I just like, okay, I don't even want to think about this. But, other people keep on pushing, and then, I'll get over my tiredness and then I'll jump back in. So we inspire each other. Like, I'm not going to want to do this all the time. Like, I don't want to hear about Asian attacks all the time. I don't want to sit here and be talking about like, oh, what the Asian people need to do all the time. It's just not something I want to do all the time. Right. But, sometimes I'm inspired that, oh, okay, I can actually do something here to help our people. I'll do it. But for the most part, it's the people. It's the people that I chose to surround myself with so they could keep on pushing. And whenever I'm feeling low, I can just lean on them and they let them do it. And then when they feel low, I'll jump in. And that's been my inspiration.
And so what's next for you now? Like, are there any exciting projects that you have coming up through TCBUA or outside of TCBUA that you would want people viewing this to know about?
I believe we're having like a subway support in New York City soon for TCBUA. Sure, we have a bunch of stuff going on. Just follow us on Instagram at TCBUA, and you can see all of the things that we have going on. And we just urge everybody, man, if you guys have, any time, anything that you can help the community, I suggest that, you guys think about donating some time to your community. Like, and if it's not with TCBUA, fine, but anything that you feel like, whatever organization or whatever group within your community that's helping, contribute, man. Like, that's everything about what is it going to benefit? How is it going to benefit me? What is it going to do for me? Like, what is it going to do? Like, bro, life you only live once, man, and you can't take all this stuff with you, So it's like, sometimes you do have to give back. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do have to think about, what you're going to leave, what legacy you're going to leave in this world. Right. And it's what we do. It's like, and the greatest stuff that's ever been done in the world has been like, selfless stuff, So, I would just hope that after people watch this, pitch in, man, help the community because we need it.
I think that's a really great way to wrap up. I think that's a really important call to action to the Asian community. Maybe just be a little aware of where we might be a bit selfish with our time and just give back where we see the need. And there's a lot of need right now.
Our people are like, we're probably not like other people. Like, we have our own strengths and our own weaknesses.
Yeah.
But we do have some ill-ass strengths. Like, Asian people are ill. Like, and we can find a way through this. Like, we just have to, like, shake out of it a little bit. We have to really want to do it. You know what I'm saying? We have to see the great need in it. And one by one, we can get there.
On the next episode of The Tiger in the Room, we sit down with Congresswoman Grace Meng, a trailblazer and advocate at the forefront of the fight against anti-Asian hate. As a representative for New York's 6th Congressional District, Grace has been an unwavering voice for change. In our conversation, we delve into the impactful initiatives Grace has championed, from removing outdated language in federal law to paving the way for a national museum of Asian Pacific American history and culture. Join us as we explore her pivotal role in passing the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act and discuss the evolving landscape of anti-Asian hate awareness in the country.